Now let's turn our attention to another theatre of colonization, the Pacific. Pacific Island nations are in the middle of a new battle, a battle for influence. On one side, you have the West, led by the big brother, America, and its deputy in the region, Australia. The West has long considered the Pacific its backyard. But of late, China has been trying to bring Pacific Island nations over to its side, trying to wean them away from the West using lavish gifts and insidious agreements. The gifts include your usual loans and infrastructure projects, but also unique offerings like a $74 million stadium. That's right, China has built and gifted a multi-million-dollar stadium to the Solomon Islands. These islands are located close to Australia. They're a nation of about 700,000 people and one of the poorer Pacific Island nations. They're set to host the Pacific Games this November. It's the first time the Solomon Islands are hosting the Games, and the stadium is apparently a gift from China. The plan was this. The Solomons would fund 20% of the infrastructure for the Games, and the remaining 80% would be funded by foreign sources. And most of this money came from China. We are talking about investment close to $119 million. That's what China has spent on the Pacific Games. Quite a generous gift, you would say. But China is not known for handing out free money. Countries in its debt like Sri Lanka and Pakistan can attest to that. Then what's the catch here? Beijing says there is no catch, that the stadium and other facilities were given with no strings attached, apart from the fact, of course, that they signed a shady deal, a security deal between China and the Solomons. It was signed last year. China will train the security forces of this island nations like their police force. And they were to be trained with replica guns sent by China. Sounds all kinds of shady and dubious. Why send replica guns? Turns out they were real after all, which marks another twist in this tale really. Is China secretly sending weapons to the Solomon Islands? A new report cites American diplomatic cables. They say these Chinese guns were not replicas. Last year, a shipment came from China. It bypassed the port authorities at Solomon Islands. The shipment was unloaded in the middle of the night with no proper documentation. And all this set off a political storm in the Solomons. That's when the government said that these were replica weapons. They produced replica weapons. They said all accusations were wrong. But the US does not buy this explanation. It believes that China has been sending genuine weapons with unique serial numbers. It's yet to be confirmed, but if it is, it will show China's ambitions. Sending weapons to the Solomons means a closer alignment. Also, a new weapons market for China, creating a dependency and moving in the West's traditional turf. The government in the Solomons denies all of it, of course, and it's not the only country caught in the turf war between China and the West. As you move south from the Solomons, you arrive at Vanuatu, a country of about 330,000 people. It is in danger of being swallowed by the ocean. It's at the forefront of climate change, also increasingly at the forefront of the China-West influence war. Last year, Vanuatu signed a security pact with Australia. It was negotiated by their Prime Minister. The man was ousted yesterday. He faced a no-confidence motion. He was ousted. He was accused of putting Vanuatu's neutrality at risk by signing the security pact with Australia. So he was removed even before the pact could be ratified by his country's parliament. Now a new man has taken charge. His name is Sato Kilman. He says the security deal will have to be revisited. And that's one of the first things that he said after taking office. The new Prime Minister has been accused of being pro-China. When asked about his stance, he said, "We are not pro-West, we are not pro-Chinese, we adopt a non-aligned policy," which is a noble sentiment, but can he really pull it off? The Pacific Island nations are in a unique position. They are being courted by rival powers. They could potentially play the West and China against each other to reap the benefits. But both factions have a history of exploitation. The West and its history of colonization, and China and its newfound love for debt-trap diplomacy. If the Pacific Island nations are not careful, all these pacts and gifts could turn into a trap. The gifted stadiums could end up becoming gilded cages.